Boom, here we go. Ooh, look how it works. Brand new toys. We are live. Live. This is Serge Vicente, the host of the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. You see it. It says it right there. We got the little fist down here and whatnot. We're active. We're having a good time. We're live right now on not only YouTube, we're also live on Facebook, man. So this is amazing. I'm glad we're always bringing you guys new stuff. And this is how we're going to keep the party rolling. So today, this is episode 229 of the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe. I have an amazing guest coming on, okay? This gentleman is a friend of mine. He is an entrepreneur. He is absolutely what I would like to call a spiritual advocate, okay? This gentleman is someone who has worked with some of the biggest companies in the world. He has a wealth of experience, and I am so happy to bring the man on the show himself, my man, my friend, Jimmy Coulavong. Brother, how are you doing? Welcome to the greatest combat sports culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. What it do?
Yo, Serge, what's good, man? Hey, first, before we even jump into this, I want to say how humbled I am to be a part of this conversation. I know that this is called a fight, and I know we've got this combat sports focus on here, but with my limited knowledge of combat sports, to even be welcomed on this podcast is a huge honor for me. So I want to say thank you very much.
Oh, bro. Well, first of all, like I said, man, thank you to you for coming on. This is obviously, like I said, it's the Fight Podcast. But what I really always want to do with this one, man, is have amazing conversations. Have people coming on from different walks, because there's so many different fights that are going on, not just the fisticuffs in the cage or the ring, especially what's going on. We're fighting for things day to day, and I'd love to be able to sit there and talk about it, especially with your expertise and kind of some of the things that you're currently doing. One thing that I think a lot of individuals right now, there has been an uptick. There has been a swing in terms of, I think people really, especially with the pandemic and everything that's been going on with civil rights and all kinds of things, people are really looking into their mental health. And it's something that is so important this day and time. Not only is it important if we're looking at fights, because I mean, I love talking to people. We're talking about like the mindset going in, but there's so much more going on outside of this as well. So you, my friend, are working on some amazing things, but I want to let the people know a little bit about Jimmy. Who is Jimmy? And like I said, introduce yourself to the folks, please, sir.
Oh, so name is Jimmy Coulavong, as you said. I have a little bit of an interesting background. Asian kid from Kentucky originally. I always rep my home state.
There it is. We're going to talk about music, too, because like I said, my man's from Kentucky has saying an eclectic background, musical taste is something that I think would be an understatement.
Hey, listen, old habits die hard, but had a little bit of an interesting journey. You know what I mean? Born and raised in Kentucky, like I said. I think some of the challenges that I experienced, I think when you're younger, and to be honest, when you're a younger guy, I don't think society equips us and enables us to really have a better understanding of our feelings of who we are, right? And to be able to express ourselves. So, had some turmoil coming up. Like I said, Asian guy in Kentucky, no one looked like me, talked like me, acted like me, thought like me. I felt like alone in that space for a long amount of time. And it honestly wasn't until I found sports and sneaker culture to where I actually started to develop friendships and kinships and what I would call a community and brotherhood. So that's really governed who I've become during my not only professional life, but my personal life, because at the end of the day, all of that means is making sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that share the same values or value systems alignment, if you will. So,
That's amazing, man. And that is such a unique thing, because I think a lot of us have different things. And it's funny how a lot of times sneaker culture, especially this day and age, is what brings a lot of us together. Everybody loves kicks, and everybody, especially like I said, respects the swoosh. Now, you, my friend, have worked for the swoosh. You work for Nike for, again, a lot of time. You've been in and out of a corporate environment, in a corporate setting, which I think is an awesome thing, especially being there to build and grow a brand. Being indoors like that and working on like creating a brand and stuff like that, and working with such a unique a unique company. How has that experience kind of gotten you to the point that you currently are today?
To be honest with you, like there was really no other place for me during I guess I started there when I was 27 years old, and I
Okay.
was with them for up over 15 years. And to be honest with you, there was really no other space. Like I said, going back to my background of sports sneaker culture, for where I found like some brotherhood. I found as I was starting my professional career that there was some conflict, some internal conflict for me as well, because while I graduated college in '99. That's probably dating me a little bit, but the job market was really
Well, you
good.
look great for your
You
age,
know,
man. You're good. Don't even
hey
worry
man,
about
hey, on a different podcast, we can talk about my 7-step K beauty process in the morning and the evening that we can share with the world. But
We might
that's
have
for a
time at
different
the
day.
end. I don't know, man. It's
Hey,
all
hey,
good. We might be able to
hey,
squeeze it in.
hey. So for me, the job market was really good back in '99, and I came out and I got a great job being in medical sales. So I was in medical sales for I'd say a couple of years. Moved me around to different cities. So I moved from Kentucky to Chicago, Chicago to Memphis,
Chi-town
and
stand up.
what's that?
Said Chi-town stand up. Always got
Oh
to rep
man,
my
I
city, man.
I always I honestly I tell people, although I reside in LA right now, Chicago is where I actually grew into a manhood. Right from graduating college into my late 20s, that was a lot of developmental years I spent in Chicago. So I always rep Chicago sports all day. So,
There we go.
but
There we go.
yeah, so I chased the money. You know what I mean? Medical sales is where the money was, especially when you're 22 years old. You don't really know much
Absolutely.
of anything at this point, so you're just trying to get that bread. So, but I found myself really unhappy. And although I was making some good money at that time for my age, you know, there was still all this little internal conflict. And then from then they actually wanted me to move from Memphis to Mississippi, and I was like, yo, this is kind of where my the where the bus stops for me. So
Right.
so I actually migrated back up to Chicago, and I got a job with a company called CDW that does IT sales. And people may or may not have heard of them, but another great company. But once again, while making good money and developing great friendships back in Chicago, there was just a lot of internal conflict. So one of my biggest learnings was, you know, I needed to really align what I do on a day-to-day basis with what really fueled me. And this was a long-winded answer to get back to why Nike became important to me. Is I actually did some soul searching and looked inward and say, when was I the most happy? When I was working. And that was when I started in the stockroom as a 16-year-old kid at the finish line. I was just having conversations with people that were like-minded. I had conversations with people that love sport and that love sneaker culture. So I just did my due diligence and bought my way into Nike, which was quite the journey within itself. And you know, I guess that's where the love story began. And I was really, really content and really happy with all of the opportunities that Nike as an organization was affording me at that time, and
Absolutely.
grew. Yeah, so
That's
that
awesome.
that was kind of
So,
my way into Nike.
so it's interesting in hearing what you're talking about in all of your journey. One thing that really comes to fruition is going to tie into kind of one of the things that we wanted to talk about today. But it's value systems, and it
Yeah.
seems like unlike a lot of people again do start off just chasing the money or chasing something in particular, and they're not doing things that truly end up feeding their soul. And they really
Yeah.
feel as if that they're not, those values aren't really addressed. Could you speak a little bit to how, for yourself personally, you've moved around again and balanced those value systems?
Yeah, I'd love to say that I always had that understanding, but it's been a developmental thing over time. You know what I mean? There's points in time in your life when money is more important to you than time, and then as you get older, time becomes more valuable than money, and then it starts to manifest into who you surround yourself with and that type of thing. So for me, you know, uh, considering myself a value systems driven person, anything that I do, I found that if anything that I do doesn't align with who I am, I'm just not fulfilled at the end of the day. And that comes down to career, to personal, to romantic relationships, all of that. It all rolls up and adds up to something bigger at the end of the day. If it's not something that is aligned with who you are, that's where the conflict and the friction starts. And for me, life goes through seasons, right? There's your high seasons and your low seasons. And I always found that when I was in my lowest seasons is when there was conflict in terms of my value systems. Right. So
I think that's really interesting. Oh, continue. I'm sorry.
No, I guess for me, it's that I always found that it's because I didn't take the time to look within myself to really have an understanding of what I valued at that point in time. Right. We set trajectories, we set goals for ourselves to achieve this by a certain age. And I want to be here and I want to make X amount of money, or I want to live here, or do all of these different things. And then we get so surgically focused on those things that we don't take the time to think about, hey, we're also getting older, we're maturing, our thought processes are changing, and so consequently our values change. Who we value to have around us start to change, right? So I would find myself in those types of moments to where I would have a dream job. On paper, things are great. And then when I'd come home at the end of the day and there was no one around, I was left unfulfilled. Now, what I do think the challenge is that a lot of times we start to look outward. The world is happening here. This is going on here. This person did this thing to me. And what I found the secret to myself was you got to point the guns inward before point the guns outward. I had to make sure that I really truly understood within myself what I valued, because it's really unfair. So like you and I are friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's unfair for me to ask of you how to be a good friend if I don't know what I value in a good friend. You know what I'm saying? That goes with career path, and that goes with romantic relationships as well. So that's kind of how I look at terms of value systems.
So for yourself, and again, I think, and again, a big component is just age, just time. You're evolving as an individual. But one of those things about that is that people, for that to happen, you legitimately have to go out there and try to develop and get better as a person. And you have to consistently try to continue evolving. And it's something that it really shows that this is what you've been doing, your entire life. And again, going from, working with your, the pharmaceutical sales up into Nike and beyond. It's always, you're evolving as an individual. And so this is ended up happening. What are some of the tools that you have used yourself so that you can actually work on these things?
Yeah. You know what? I mean, for me, meditation has been really critical. I think all of us like to think we're very cerebral. All of us like to believe that, I hear it all the time, I can't sleep at night because my mind's going, a million miles an hour. And everybody says that. There's not one person that says, you know what?
I'll say that, bro. I fall asleep at like 9 o'clock. I'm like,
you work out so much harder than me in the gym. That's the thing. So, but everybody likes to think that, or everybody likes to think that, that's a struggle, and it really is a struggle. And for me, that was a challenge for a lot of years of my life. You know what I mean? I had the fortunate luxury of, in my early 20s and even into my early 30s, that I could function off of 4 hours of sleep and still be very productive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I found it as that was actually a competitive advantage. The problem is father time is undefeated, right? So if you continue these types of
wears down,
you start to wear down. And for me, all that thought that I would have the time to kind of clear through when I had more hours in the day, it was actually compounding at night, and I couldn't really shut it off. And it wasn't until I found meditation and devoting time to really breathe and sit still and have some calmness. Because what I found that I didn't have, although I was busy, didn't have purpose.
Right. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that might hit into a little bit, because so many people, they talk about like, bro, meditation, like that shit's hard. People will sit quietly. Like, I got shit to do. We're running around, like, to sit still. It's difficult. And I think people don't understand how difficult that is. for you, what are some of the tools that have you used any other meditation apps or any of those things for you? Have any of that been beneficial, or is it just straight iron butt technique? I'm gonna sit my ass down. I'm gonna sit here and I'm going to I set my timer and like you said, I'm focused on whatever my intentions are and I rock it that way. Which style of meditation, because there's so many different styles, have you utilized?
You know what? I'm a headspace guy. I think Calm in recent years has probably overtaken them in terms of downloads. But for me, I found when I was developing my meditation practice, Headspace was the one that was leading the charge, and I've had the opportunity to meet some of the people that worked within that organization, and I love their spirit, I love what they stand for, and I love who they are. So for me, Headspace has been really important for me, and I still do it on every day. In my journey, I have friends that can meditate for an hour. I have some friends that are just on that 5 minute. I'm on that 20 to 30 minute space right now, but I found that, for me, taking that time to really calm my thoughts, center myself, and then having intention and purpose for the day helps me to be more productive, because I think this is where a lot of people mess up, or a lot of people mistaken being busy for being efficient and productive. Being busy without purpose or intention is simply just doing, right? So if you don't know what your goal is or what your target is, it's hard to prioritize all of the things on your to-do list on a day-to-day basis. So for me, the first thing I do it's actually the second thing, and I'll talk about the first thing that I do when I wake up in a second. But the meditation is the second thing that I do every single day, simply because I want to set my intention of what I need to get accomplished for the day at a micro level, but also what I'm contributing at a macro level as well, right?
That's amazing, man, and that's something. So just all transparency, I use Headspace as well. They were absolutely, for myself, also the ones, and they were a little earlier in the game, I feel like, for the guided meditation apps. Yep. And I think that they did a really good job of walking you through it, because even for myself now, I do the unguided meditations. I'm at that point that I can do it, and I still utilize the app just to kind of track everything. So I think that's awesome. You were saying
not to cut you off, but how dope was that when we were in Sedona and we were able to just go and meditate in what was it called? It was just really that I can't, the name escapes me now.
Man, it was like this, it was like a Buddhist temple type of dig. Oh, exactly. So amazing.
Like the level of peace was in that space, and the energy in that space. It's hard to really define it for people, and especially if people are skeptical about the meditation space. But imagine a space where three of us went, myself, you, Tasha, we all went, and we collectively were sharing energy, but then we also had our own dedicated time as well. And we were surrounded by strangers that showed respect, that showed courtesy, compassion, empathy. I for one felt blessed that we were able to go there, have that experience, and leave. And it's honestly one of the highlights of 2020 for me so far, which isn't a lot.
Absolutely.
Our level for 2020 is pretty rough now, but that was amazing. So I feel blessed in that experience.
Oh, absolutely. And dude, it's the same thing, man. Super. I feel so thankful to have that shared experience together, bro. And again, this is where a lot of this conversation that we're having now, where we're kind of stirred up, because obviously like-minded individuals sitting and be able to have these conversations. And one thing that you talked about were the other people there. Do you think that if people take the time to meditate consistently and do these things, how much, even for yourself, has this benefited you as a human being?
Oh, I mean, it's changed my life. You know what I mean? Because I feel like,
cut you off. And it's interesting to say that too. And again, I'm sorry to cut you off. Because everyone always, people who are successful, you always see in all the books, oh, I meditated and it made a difference. I do these things and it made a difference. And I do want to talk about a routine in a moment. And then we're going to kind of get into some of the other things that you're currently working on as well. Yep. But for you, in seeing that and then being able to kind of look at it that way, I mean, how, again, that experience in itself in its own right for you, how is that, going, and do you see those correlations?
Man, like I said, it's been completely life changing for me. It's and in the sense that you know what, there are points in times where you're a little bit directionless. You're like I said, you're simply just doing. And for me, meditation has been a maturation process that's enabled me to stay focused. Because here's the deal, right? And this is what I believe. Society tells you that in order for you to be a good man, you need to be a good son. You need to be a good brother. You need to be a good friend. You need to be a good boyfriend, a fiance, husband, co-worker, whatever, right?
Mm.
If you're good at all of those things, remember, there's only 24 hours in a day.
Absolutely.
If you're dedicated in terms of being good in the eyes of society, by dedicating yourself to those things, when do you have time to be great for yourself? And for me, that meditation gives me that focus, so I have an understanding deeply of how to be great within myself.
That's
And
awesome.
ultimately, how do I be great for others, right? We talk about it all the time. There's a million different metaphors. You can't pour for an empty cup. Empty pitchers can't fill a glass. All of those things. And those things are very true. But people think about investing into themselves as
Yes.
it being very selfish. To me, investing into yourself first is very selfless, because I found that when I did invest into myself first, I was a better boyfriend. I was a better friend. I was a better everything, because now I could communicate to my people that, what I valued into them, and I felt comfortable within that. And then also at the same time, I could also set boundaries, because if you don't set these boundaries,
Interesting way to think about it. That's an
things
interesting
will always take from you, right? So
True. No, I love that, man. Because it does give like this real holistic kind of approach. And speaking of holistic type of approach, you're working on something right now.
Yep.
That's pretty fucking amazing, if I do say so myself. Could you talk to your new? Oh, it is. I feel it. I know it, bro. The vibrations are right. For yourself, you're working on a new thing, and again, this is the entrepreneurial end of you are coming in. You've been able to. You're working on something now that you're taking not only the athletic background that you can say that you've had your whole life and everything, even with Nike, and now this holistic and this all-encompassing thing, and you have this project that you work on. Could you talk about that a little bit for me, please?
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely. So I appreciate the platform. Actually, before I jump into that, I mentioned something a little bit earlier that I kind of want to jump back to. And then we can jump into what's coming up ahead. I talked about meditation in the second thing that I do every single day.
Yes. What's the first thing? Because I do want to talk about your routine. Sorry about that.
Yep. Okay, my bad. So the first thing I do is visualization. I'm a firm believer in visualization and manifestation, right? Because
I love that.
The moment when you wake up and the moment before you go to bed, when you're laying in bed and the world is quiet, those are very dedicated times that you can actually invest in yourself. I'm a firm believer that if you can't see something, you can't be that. So the first thing I do when I wake up, and the last thing I do at the end of each day is visualization. I have a very sharp surgical focus on what I want to achieve. Very, very sharp, meaning down to the way I visualize what the room looks like, how I'm feeling, who's in the room, and what's being said, right? Yeah. And I'll take 3 deep breaths, 3, 6, 9, right? In 3, hold for 6, and breathe out 9, 3 times, and then I will surgically focus on that thing. And I'll give you an example. I told you that I wasn't that happy when I was at CDW, and it has nothing to do with that organization. It was just a misalignment of values, and I was trying to find my space, right?
Absolutely.
So, and when I made that decision that I wanted to work at Nike, I went through this whole process of, okay, so what do I need to do to accomplish this? I found the chief decision maker in Chicago at that time, and I found her email. So what I did was I emailed her and I said, here's the things that I'm going to do over the course of the next 4 weeks. Monday at 9 a.m., you're going to receive a fax resume. This is how old I am. A fax resume. The second Monday at 9 a.m., you're going to receive an email from me. The third Monday, you're going to receive a hard copy. And then the fourth Monday at 9 a.m., I'm going to call you on your phone. I did those things. All the while, I was visualizing her picking up the phone. Mind you, she didn't know who I was at all.
Right.
No clue. So the sharp thing that I focused on was just her picking up the phone. That's it. That fourth Monday at 9 a.m., she picked up the phone. And we had a conversation. And she said, you know what? I love your diligence. I love the fact that you're going after this, and it showed me that you're dedicated to this. We actually have a role that I'd love for you to interview for.
That's amazing.
I'd love to bring you in. Now I shifted my visualization from, now that I've achieved that one minor goal of just having her pick up the phone, I started visualizing what the interview looked like. Well, actually, what the end of the interview. She told me it was a panel interview with 3 people. So for the next 2 weeks, every single day in the morning and the night, I was visualizing one thing.
Okay,
her looking at me and saying, "You're our guy." That's it. Just that sharp. So I'm preparing for the next 2 weeks. I go through the interview process. A week later, she calls me and she says, "Hey, I'd love to offer you the job." And we didn't even talk about money, which is a mistake on my part, by the way. Anyone want to talk about that negotiation? I was just so excited. That it didn't matter what it was, because now I was in with a company that I share the same values with, right? So we had a conversation. We talked about start time. We talked about all these different things, and it was time to conclude the phone call. And she said, "Jimmy, so I'm very happy you decided to take this role. We're excited to have you on the team, and I just wanted you to know that the second you walked out of the room, we all looked at each other and said, 'That's our guy.'" For me, that was like, yo, chills, like chicken skin, and that for me validated that was within literally a 6-week time frame, just about manifesting and visualizing your destiny and how it can come true. So, and I believe that from now on.
Do you write any of those? Because I know a lot of people journal with their manifestations and things like that. Do you tend to write anything down, or is this something that you're just like, in the morning when I wake up and the night before I go to sleep, I am just keen focused, keen aware, on what I need to do? Do you actually write it? Because I know a lot of people focus on journaling as well. Is that a tool that you've utilized or you currently use?
I journal. I have a lot of different thoughts that I'm trying to organize and prioritize. That's where I kind of start to think things through, especially when things aren't really jiving the way that I had initially anticipated. So journaling helps me to organize my thoughts. But when it comes to visualization, I don't. That's because what just works for me is being very sharp at one thing.
That's awesome. It's amazing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't think you need to really. We can be overwhelmed very easily with everything that's going on with the state of the world, with our personal things that we've got going on, that, it's okay to be good at one thing and want one thing and being surgically focused on that. And for me, for visualization, I don't want to cloud it with 3 to 4 to 5 things, right? I want to be sharp on one. So don't write that down. I just maniacally focus on that thing in the morning and at night.
That's amazing, man. Well, speaking of your direct focus, you're currently working on this dope project. Tell us a little bit about that, because it really is an all-encompassing thing from where we started to now this point of the conversation. I love, like I said, let us know about what you're working on.
Well, you know what? For me, for the people that don't know, like I said, I was with Nike for over 15 years, and I vacated that space at the beginning of the year. January 31 was actually my last day. Which with COVID, I think timing probably not the most perfect timing, but hey, guess what?
We didn't know. Hey, it's all good.
It is what it is. So,
hey man, the universe has something different for you, brother.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, to be completely honest, with everything that's going on, I couldn't be happier with where I am in life. You know what? I couldn't be happier, and it's because, and I'll be completely honest with you, I probably wasn't doing my best work at Nike in the last year, 2 years. I tried. It didn't mean the effort wasn't there. It didn't mean the focus wasn't there. It didn't mean any of those things. It was just that internal conflict that was going on.
It wasn't right in your soul. I understand that.
I wasn't believing it, and I wasn't feeling it. And it's like I said, there's no knock on Nike as an organization. They are the biggest power in the game. Right?
Everybody loves the swoosh. Come on, man. We know it.
100%. They are the ones, right? But at that point in my life, there was that value systems misalignment was happening because I was having some challenges within myself, not only the career, like I'm talking about with those frictions, but some interpersonal stuff. There was family stuff. There was just a lot of stuff going on. And my body was starting to react, right? Like, because I'm a believer, like, you hold all these stresses in, your body is going to tell you when enough's enough, right? And for me, it was funny because I always had this dream to lead Nike sportswear, right? Like, that was kind of my thing. And I had the opportunity to oversee Nike sportswear in LA. I'm not going to pat myself on the back because the team did absolutely everything. I just helped in the process, right? And it was a dream job. So on paper, all of it was great. But there was a moment that happened. It was early to this job process, and I'm probably being a little bit too vulnerable, but I wanted to share it because you asked me to come on here and help. Yo, I had listen, up until this point, like I said, with all my years and tenure and all the different organizations and jobs and companies that I work for, I presented a million times, and I actually am proud of myself of my presentation skills. I was asked to present within my peers, right? Just to my peers. There's literally maybe 10 people in the room.
Right.
And something I do all the time. And it was a topic that I knew like the back of my hand. When I started presenting, for the first time in my life, I started sweating. Like, when I say sweating, I say like embarrassing, profusely sweating, as in like I needed a towel type of sweating, as in like John Thompson type of sweating. Like, you needed that towel on your shoulder to help you out, right?
Hey, salute to John Thompson, man. Rest in paradise.
100%. Honestly, one of my life heroes. I had the opportunity to talk to him a handful of times, and he left me blessed every single time. So definitely R.I.P. John Thompson.
Yeah, for those who don't know, John Thompson, one of the greatest collegiate basketball coaches of all time. He's credited to saving people like Allen Iverson's life.
Yeah, social activist and leader of men and women. So he's great man. But anyways, I digress. Basically, I was having an anxiety attack.
Wow. And this is after 15 years working with the company. That's crazy.
Yeah. And talking to my friends and my peers. And I didn't understand why this was happening. Now, we played it off as a joke, like whatever, whatever. Right. I made it through. I powered through. And it was my body telling me, yo, this isn't.
It's over. It's time to go.
This isn't right for you, right?
That's crazy.
And it was crazy. And the thing about it is that, you know what? I also didn't have the conflict resolution within myself. I was keeping all of these internal pressures within myself in terms of, what all the stresses and anxieties that I was trying to reconcile.
Absolutely.
It wasn't until I started to do my own research and found recovery studios. Right. And so that was a long way of explaining
Yeah.
where I am on my journey right now. But
No, I love it.
I'm on this mission really to be, once again, to be very surgical, to make lives better. I
That's
don't want anyone to go through what I went through in terms of that life experience. I want to help build a community, and I want to help build a platform for people can share of like-minded individuals. And I keep saying like-minded. It doesn't mean that you have to agree on everything. It just means that you have to agree on what you're trying to manifest at a macro level, right?
hmm
So for me,
I love that.
I found hydrotherapy being a very calming thing for me. It helped me be centered, right?
So
And when
hydrotherapy. I'm sorry. What is hydrotherapy specifically?
I mean, listen, I'm not a doctor, right? But
Yeah, I
from
understand.
from from what I understand and the way I perceive it and embody it is
Okay.
basically managing vasoconstriction and vasodilation. Basically, it's leveraging the temperature of water in order to increase blood flow and oxygen through your body to help your body recover.
Is it
Now,
similar to like people doing the tanks, like
it,
the
like submerging tanks,
yes,
cryotherapy, all of
yes,
those
yeah.
things. Those are
Okay.
those are all components of it. For
Okay.
me, it's a little bit more beyond that.
Okay.
For me, it's an ecosystem of, how do you re-engage via tepid pool? How do you soak in a salt bath, right? And then use those mineralities to help promote health and wellness. Cold plunge, thermal
Amazing.
hot spring, sauna, steam room. Because while those things help you physically, right, with that vasodilation I'm talking about, all that extra blood flow and oxygen helps your body recover faster. Athletes have been doing it for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
And it also helps you mentally. So I'm in the space right now
That's pretty incredible.
of creating a space for people to re-engage with that, as with in addition to body work, and as well as creating a shareable space as well for individuals really just to be, right,
That
just to be
that's
themselves, just
that's
to
incredible,
share.
dude. And it's
Yeah,
funny because you don't hear, and it's almost like it sounds like it's a little bit. It's more because people go to like health spas, right?
yeah, yeah.
But this seems like almost like a one-stop shop for all around spiritual and wellness. Was that kind of like the concept behind it?
I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal. Is how do
That's
you
so dope.
awaken people? How do you? There's three E's like to share with people all the time. It's about engagement, enablement, and empowerment. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to engage with the people, listening to them, listening to understand as opposed to listening to be understood. Right? That's critical.
Absolutely.
But like once you start to hear and understand what people need, you have to enable them and empower them, and that's what I'm looking to create and manifest here in the months and years to come.
That is so dope, bro. And again,
Yeah.
salute to you because it truly does seem like this is awesome work. These are the things that your people are finding and following their passions, and it seems like that is what you're currently doing, and you're doing it in order to help other people, and specifically in a time like we are in today, where it's so much unrest and it's so much craziness going on. To be able to sit back and think about others and really trying to put a place together that does all those different things in
Mhm.
a healthy and a really fly way is
Yeah.
super dope. And so salute to you,
Yeah.
brother. Like, I think that is awesome. Check it out. Before we get you out of here, we have to talk about a couple things though, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
All right.
first and foremost, man, with everything that's going on, and I talked to you a little bit about this beforehand. Um, we've had time again to sit back and read and kind of soak some things in. You with everything that you're working on right now during this pandemic, during the time that we've all been sitting around, do you have any recommendations or any books that you will sit that you could actually say that this is something that we should check out?
You know, probably two.
Okay.
If you're starting your spiritual journey, if you will, if you're starting, your path to look inward, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer is
Untethered
one
Soul.
that is a great book to really invest into. And then the other thing, what's that?
What's the guy's name? I'm sorry.
Michael A. Singer. I think that's his middle initial. It's a great read. It's a short read, and I actually when I'm reading, I take notes in my phone, so I have it with me at all times if I need to go back and refer to something. And of all the books that I've read, I've probably taken the notes on that one the most, so that I can kind of revert back to it. And then when you're willing to make the leap of whatever, once you've found yourself and who you are and what your purpose is and what your intentions are and where you're trying to go. This is another classic book. I think I'm not giving anyone anything that's like going to be mind blowing, but like Daring Greatly by Brene Brown is something that's great because it's about having the courage to be vulnerable, right? To live, to love, to lead, to really manifest what you want your life to be. So those are probably the two books that I would recommend to a lot of different people. And then once you start on that journey, you and I can connect and share about a myriad of other books as well. So, but to be short, those are the two.
We put those in the comments and everything for everybody. So that's something that we're definitely, I'm definitely going to check out those because I'm always trying to, especially with books like that, I want to grow spiritually. And I think that's something that is a really, really dope thing to do about it. Also, something that always speaks to people's souls is music. Brother, the Asian dude from the South who loves R&B. I told people you have an eclectic taste in music, man. Yo, brother, what are some stuff that we should be listening? Because we talked about R&B, but man, you also were talking.
We sat for like 3 hours on Fireplace listening to some 90s R&B. That's probably the most romantic moment I've had in a while.
It wasn't just me and my mans, all right? It was a group of us. But still, a group and we were socially distancing, so don't worry about it.
100%.
But dude, you also talking about with that one. We're talking about you do country music also. My man has an eclectic taste, hip hop, R&B, country, bro. Yeah. Where did you get your music? You know, just a variety from, man. How did you build that?
Yo, first of all, I've been listening to the same music for probably the last 30 years. Jodeci's still on heavy rotation in my car, right? So, you know, I'm a firm believer I learned how to love the 90s R&B. You know what I mean? That's how I envision what relationships should look like. So, shout out to my older cousins. Yeah, my older cousins actually influenced me on that one, right? Ralph Tresvant was my guy, my favorite New Edition member, by the way.
Legend.
But legend. So, 90s R&B. You know what? I don't know. I'm big into storytelling. And and with me, like anyone that things that connect with me are things that people kind of walk me through and guide me through how they're feeling and that level of that drives a connectivity with me. So that's where 90s R&B is like always in my heart and my soul. But like being
so what's on the Rolodex right now? What are we listening to right now in the car?
Man, shit, what am I not listening to? Heavy right now. Real talk, like I made this swing back to my roots into some country music. So, and I know everybody laughs at me for it, but you know what? I'm proud about it. Jimmy Butler is one of my favorite NBA players. He's equally proud about his propensity towards country music, and so and if he's going to do it, so will I.
Nasty right now. If he's listening to country music and it helps him beat up on the Bucks, I'm not mad at it.
Man, he's a dog. He's killing them right now. So
let's not talk about Jimmy. Every time I realize the Bulls traded him, it hurts my heart. Okay, so let's not go there.
I can't even talk about the Bulls. That's for a different day. With my positivity here, you know what I mean? But yeah, country is huge for me. I actually thank my ex-girlfriend now she actually brought me back into it just because of the spirit and the soul and what they're trying to say. Like you know, I've been listening to a lot of heavy Sam Hunt. I've been listening to Morgan Wallen is my guy. Chasing You. You never heard that song? Look it up. It's a great cut. But you know, I'm also in support of like these guys. Some other cats that are in the game, Jimmy Allen and Kane Brown. They're actually people of color. They're actually black men in the
Yo,
space
black
of
dude.
country music, doing good music. Right? It just shows that there's
I mean, look,
there's
we black men created the space, so I understand it.
yeah.
We started
Hey,
country.
Ray Charles was huge in country music. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
so for me, that relationship with '90s R&B to '80s R&B, even to today's R&B, I respect the guys from today. But that
Sir.
tie, it's not so weird. Maybe I'm a little weird, but that's where I am. And listen, for those that don't know, like Kane is actually doing music with Khalid right now. He's got a song out with Khalid and Sway Lee, which is for those that
Really?
don't know. Yep, he's actually
Yo, I gotta check
doing
that
a song
out.
with her coming. So yeah,
I love her. Okay, all
yeah.
right. I'm here for it. I'm gonna take your word for it. We'll check it out, man. And check it out before we get you out of here. And bro, thank you so much for your time today, man. I really do appreciate it. I'm looking forward to having many more conversations. But before we get you out of here, this is the Fight Podcast, and I have to ask everybody about this because this fight is just as much pop culture as anything else. It's just as much pop culture as the versus battle. Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. Everyone says the fight's coming up. What are your thoughts on the battle of these two legends?
I mean, I'm praying for Roy. If I'm completely honest with you, like I mean, I'm a fan of both. I think they were both legends in their own time, but there's just something different about Mike. You know what I mean? There's just something different. So and you know what? Like naturally in their time, they were different weight classes. Right now, as age started to take,
let's say this: Roy Jones does have a belt at heavyweight. Also, he did fight and win at heavyweight.
He did that one fight, right?
Against
But
Ruiz,
I mean,
who was the champion. Who was
yeah. I mean, and I respect that, but I think naturally he's probably walking around at heavy right now. But during his time, he was not that. He was light heavy, right? So, and Mike mentally is just something a little bit different too. So yeah. I mean, I'm going to tune in. I'm excited for it. I don't know what to expect, but yeah, I'm here for it.
There it is. Look, I've been telling you, I'm gonna start posting it on social media and all of our platforms. I'm gonna start doing like one of those things with their heads on top, and all of my guests. I'm gonna see who picked what. I'm gonna put a picture of everyone's head on each side, and when the fight happens, we're gonna see who wins. I swear, I have to do it because everyone has such different opinions on it, and I think it is one of those things that really talks about pop culture, but it's super dope. But check it out, man. I don't want to take up too much.
I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. I stand behind my word. I think Mike's got this. So, but sorry to interrupt.
No worries, brother. Well, look, man, I don't want to take up too much any more of your time today, man. Thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people find you?
You know what? Right now, if you want to be bored, you can jump on my Instagram, JimmyK24_7. I try to post some positive things, some daily thoughts in there that I want to share and blast out to the world. But yeah, that's probably the best and easiest way to find me out in this digital space. But yeah, just look for the Plunge Studio coming in a neighborhood near you sometime soon.
Cannot wait. Can't wait, man. With Jimmy, brother, thank you so much for joining me on the show today, man. Amazing convo, bro. And again, much success to the Plunge Studio and everything you're working on in the future.
No, thank you. I'm humbly blessed to be a part of this conversation, and I'm honored to have anyone even listen to me ramble the way I've had for the last 30, 40 minutes. So thank you so much.
I love it. And we're going to do it again, man, because, again, I think these conversations are important. And I think people talking about mental health and spirituality and mental acuity, I think this stuff is extremely important. So I thank you so much for your time and the work that you're currently doing.
Oh, anytime.
Absolutely, brother. Have a good one, man. Peace out. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Peace. Later.
Absolutely. All right. That was my conversation with Jimmy K, man. Jimmy's such a dope dude, bro. I'm really happy to have him on the show and talk about the Plunge Studio and everything else that he's been working on, man. This is incredible. So thank you so much to him and what he's working on. All right, for those of us, this has been episode 229 of the greatest combat sports and culture in the entire universe. You see what we're doing now, man. We're streaming live on YouTube. We're streaming live on Facebook now. So you guys will be able to see all of our episodes right here live, and then we'll end up putting it out there. With this being said, shout out to our sponsors. We're brought to you each and every week by Everlast. Everlast is an incredible glove company since 1910. Eventually, we have our graphics and shit come up here, but since 1910, Everlast, man, an incredible company. Get all of your combat sports needs right there. Everlast.com. Apply promo code The Fight, and you'll end up getting 10% off of your purchase. Also, check out CBDPure.com. Another incredible. After you get done with your workouts, after you're done doing everything you have to do, CBD Pure helps out with so much. Organically grown right out of Colorado, man. These people make organic certified quality hemp CBD products. Check them out today, okay? You get 15% off with promo code The Fight. After you work out, I put a couple under my tongue when I wake up, man. It helps out with just all overall well-being. It's incredible. Check out CBD Pure. And if you are on the West Coast, check out Nug Club Official. Nug Club Official is a cannabis company, man. What they end up doing, they actually have a box. Premium cannabis. They deliver $200 worth of bud directly to your home only for $99. And if you go ahead and check out with the Fight Podcast as your promo, you get an extra $10 off. So essentially you get $200 worth of bud for $90. That shit's unheard of. They have flour, they have tinctures, they have vapes, they have edibles and everything else, man. So salute to everybody, Nug Club Official, CBD Pure, and Everlast. Thank you so much for being a part of the Fight Podcast. Check us out this week. We also have coming up the Scrappy Hours every Wednesday. So later on today, you'll end up seeing the Scrappy Hour. We have more guests and so much more, man. Thank you so much to Jimmy K for coming on the show today, man. I appreciate his time. Like I said, check out those books, man. Some super dope books. And I'm not gonna stunt. I'm gonna have to eventually check out some of that country music. I'm not here for it usually, but my man's told me about it, and I trust his musical taste. So I'm gonna rock with it. Thank you to him, everybody else for listening. We'll see you next time right here on the Fight Podcast. Peace out.